Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, I will be talking about some possible interview questions, cybersecurity interview questions that you can get asked by an interviewer during an interview session. These would work whether you're someone you're looking for a cybersecurity analyst position, if you're looking for a SOC analyst position, security engineer, different field in cybersecurity. This is like a basics interview question and basic interview question that you might expect. Just to remember, I have a series on my YouTube channel that has some of these interview questions and answers, and this one that I'm recording currently should be a part 2. So it's for everyone. If you're new to the field, if you're experienced in the field looking for another job in the field of cybersecurity, these interview questions might come up in your next interview. So let's dive right into it. An interviewer might ask you, what is a cybersecurity incident? So as you know, a cybersecurity incident is something that can compromise the confidentiality, integrity, or availability of an information system. So when a cybersecurity incident happens, it might indicate that a security controls are failed. So because for that to happen, that means your the tools that you have in place either missed something, or it didn't miss anything, but there was no investigation when you were like alerted by the security system. So another thing that you might get asked, what is the difference between an event and an alert? So as you know, an event is often an activity recorded. It could be normal or abnormal. So in your system, you have Windows event logs, right? This contains information about what's going on. It's like an audit, right? It contains information about what's going on your system, or anything that comes up on your system. It's good for audit purposes as well. So you can see what happened. There's Windows event log. There's some of these codes that you see in some of these in Windows event logs will tell you all this code has meaning. It helps you troubleshoot. So you can go further even without wasting time trying to compare the two. An alert, as you know, is a flag event that matches suspicious or malicious behavior patterns. So if someone asks you in an interview to differentiate between an event and an alert, this is a simple way that you can explain it. And if you want to go further into details, you can give examples of, the difference between the two. Another thing you might get asked is, what is a false positive? There's something we call false positive in cybersecurity, right? False positive is when you are alerted, your security tools alert you that there's a security issue or incident, and when you investigate it, you find out that it's not something to be worried about. So this is just a layman definition without going into technical terms, rather. So a false positive, if you want to go into technical terms, you can be like, oh, a false positive is an alert triggered by normal activity that is not an actual threat. So, and it is your job as a SOC analyst or a cybersecurity analyst to identify and reduce false positive through tuning. So if you're a cybersecurity analyst working in the field already, you would know that sometimes the tools that you have in place needs to be fine-tuned. That way it can reduce alert fatigue. So what you don't want is chasing something, and at the end of the day you find out it's not something to be worried about. But in cybersecurity, when you receive an alert, you still have to investigate it. Whether it's false positive or false negative, you still have to investigate it. So you can go deeper into explaining, giving example, especially if you're someone that's already working in the field. You can give different scenarios. You can give different examples of when you've received an alert that was false positive and all of that. So but if you're just someone that is just getting into the field, you can just give a definition, or you can if you're someone that build a project relating to SIEM, to security information event management tools, you can give an example of what happened when you use maybe you use a Splunk free trial version, and you set up a dashboard, and you just set up the configuration, and then you receive this alert, then you investigate it, and you find out it was false positive. So there are ways that you can explain it, and the interviewer would understand, especially for someone that's still new to the field compared to someone that's experienced in the field. So if you're coming from a cybersecurity position to another cybersecurity position, then you would expect to give more examples of when that happened in your current job. Another question that you might get asked is, can you define confidentiality, integrity, availability triad? So, but if you get a nice interviewer, right, the interviewer might tell you the full meaning of the CIA. So, but some interviewer might just try to test your knowledge and be like, define what CIA triad is. As you all know, CIA triad is like the backbone of cybersecurity. So we have confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So you can go further by describing what confidentiality is. So for me, let's say I'm being asked what, to define CIA triad. So what I would do is I would give an example, right? Confidentiality, making sure that only people that are authorized to have access to data are those that have access to it. Integrity is making sure that the data that maybe it's your customer data, your client's data, is not modified in any way or form. And availability is making sure that this information being secure, this data being secure, is available as it when needed. Does that make sense? So it's just a simple way of defining it. And let me tell you something. In healthcare, all these three, actually, don't let me say in healthcare alone. So in health fields, confidentiality, integrity, and availability is very important. It's something that you can't do without. The next thing that you might get asked is, can you tell me what is SIEM? And SIEM is SIEM, and the full definition is Security, Information, and Event Management. You can go further by explaining that it is a platform that is used to collect and normalize logs from multiple sources. So you can have security logs, you can have other logs. It doesn't have to be security logs alone. So what the SIEM tool does is it detects and correlate event, and it can generate a lot based on the rules that you define. So there's something, Splunk is an example. We have every forwarder that would forward logs from different sources depending on how it is being set up. So for example, if you're someone that just starting up in the field looking for your first cybersecurity job, you might not really understand, you might not really go further into explaining, but there's expectations. If you're someone that's already in the field, you have to explain it. You have to explain the tools that you've used and how it's been set up. So some of these tools is QRadar, Splunk, Elastic SIEM. Some of these are examples of SIEM tools. So for interviewer to know that you understand what you're explaining, you have to mention some of the tools, some of the SIEM tools, and which is Splunk, QRadar, and there's some other ones as well. And to explain further, or maybe if you don't even want to explain further, another questions like a follow-up question might come in. An interviewer might ask you, what type of logs does a SIEM collect? And as I said earlier, the logs that SIEM tools collect ranges from different. So we have Windows event logs, Linux 6 logs, firewall logs, IDS, IPS alert, that is intrusion detection system, intrusion prevention system, antivirus logs, VPN and proxy logs, authentication logs. So e.g. SSH, HowDP, some of these logs. So those are the kind of logs that SIEM tools collect.